today for the holiday, but law enforcement, they're warning people right now to be very aware the next time you make a withdrawal.
They say there's an uptick in so-called bank jugging. And Fox 35's Randy Hildreth is live with more on this. Randy, police encourage people to stay vigilant and out of the bank.
Yeah, if you need to make a transaction at the bank, make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. I know sometimes we get caught up in either our phones or just our day-to-day thoughts, and you're not aware of what's going on around you. You may not be aware, but someone may be watching you. So what they're telling people, as you mentioned, make sure that you're vigilant. I want to show viewers on your screen just a working definition of what bank jugging is. And so they describe it as someone is in the bank parking lot scoping out potential targets, and they may try to take your money, or potentially worse, after you go into the bank and get your money and try to leave. So to protect yourself, you're encouraged to stay vigilant. And a couple other quick things. Be on alert for any vehicles that appear to be randomly changing parking spots in the parking lot. They're not leaving, they're just continuing to move to different parking spaces. Watch for cars with people who appear to be eyeing the front door of the bank or the ATM, so they backed into their parking space so that they can get a good view of the traffic. Also, make sure that you conceal your money going into and leaving the bank. Pretty simple there, but sometimes, again, we forget some of the quick and simple things. And then also try to make your stop at the bank your last activity on your to-do list. That way, you're not going to a different location, leaving that money in your car, and if someone's already scoped you out, they know where that money can be found. Now, in addition to Ocoee Police Department going ahead and giving that warning to the community about this is something that they're monitoring, this morning I also saw Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office posted a message on their Facebook page warning people about this very same thing. So it's on the radar of law enforcement, and want to bring it to your attention this morning. Live this morning, Randy Hildreth, Fox 35 News.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, in the name of the Heavenly Father, Bahashem, in the name Yahweh Shai, the only begotten Son, who the world English calls Jesus, a so-called black man. Bank jugging. You know, and another name for it is, you know, catching a lick or scheming, you know, pretty much the same thing. And, you know, you seeing this on a lower scale right now, you know, cliques or a group of people, you know, they starting to click up and they looking to get a lick off a unexpected individual, you know, and majority of the time the unexpected individual is someone that's weak, who they don't see that could pose a threat, you know, but they work in they work in groups together to set up their licks, or in this case, you know, they scheme of bank jugging, where they seek out set individuals and set traps or snares for them, and, you know, prey on the weak, you know. So they see an elderly couple or elderly person go to the bank, take out the money, sit it in the car, and go shop and do something else, and then next thing you know, they break into the car and steal that person's money, you know. And the times that we in right now, we haven't even reached the apex of when it's really gonna get, you know, crazy out here, because once the system collapse and there's, you know, no more work in Egypt, and by design they have you to come down to Egypt and receive that, you know, device for aid or help, you know, people gonna be looking to, you know, survive out here. And if you don't have that hedge, you know, you can easily fall prey or victim to any one of these scams, licks, or in this case, bank jugging. Because trust and believe, it's gonna get a lot worse than it is right now. You know, you got different issues plaguing different cities. Like out there on the West Coast, you got such prestigious areas such as like Beverly Hills, LA, Los Angeles, that just had their whole shopping you know, place where people go to shop out in Beverly Hills. You had a lot of people out there ramshacking the businesses and taking like $100,000 worth of merchandise. So each city is gonna have its own, you know, issue to deal with. You know, so bank jugging looks like it's something for the South down here. You know, a lot of people working together, you know, and trying to come up with a way to scheme to take, you know, somebody's hard-earned money from up under them. You know, they can set up a trap where they have, you know, a lead man that's following that person from one set place to another, and then another person come by and pick up the, you know, the cash, the prize. So, you know, it's just gonna get a lot worse as we get closer to that time. So you got to be really sober, be vigilant, because this is just the beginning. You know, bank jugging. Once the money runs out, and there's no more money for them to bank jug on, then they're gonna start coming into your place of residence and looking for food. You know, because what are they using the money for? They're using the money to buy food and buy other little knickknacks. So once the money runs out and they can't, you know, buy anything per se with that fake fiat money, they're gonna be looking to see who they think has the next best lick, you know. And you need food to survive. So you can see these people teaming up with each other, forming cliques, and going in and, you know, ramshacking your place looking for food. And if you get in the way, I mean, it's gonna be an all-out Wild Wild West type of scenario. So let's get a couple of verses, a couple of scriptures, and let's take it from there. This is 2 Ezra 15 and verse 16, and it reads, "For there shall be sedition among men, and an invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Right, so once this system collapses, you know, it's going to be every man for themselves. It's going to pretty much be like the Wild Wild West, where they're not going to regard any laws. You know, it's going to be dog eat type of world out here. It's going to get crazy. So they're not going to regard for that city or state its laws, because it's going to be pretty much a free fall. I mean, once the dollar collapses and this system crashes, however they set it up, you know, it's going to pretty much be every man for themselves. That's why you're going to have these cliques and these people teaming up. They're going to think that they can get more if they team up than if they was to go out there and work by themselves. So they're going to be teaming and clicking up, you know, looking for bank jugging, looking for licks, looking to scheme on somebody, to set somebody up. You know, it's already being played out right now. You just haven't been spiritually awakening to it. I mean, they had a scenario in the book of Eli when Denzel Washington, you know, character who was Eli, was walking down a desolate road, and this woman was playing a part of a stranded, you know, damsel in distress. And meanwhile, she was setting Denzel up to get whatever he had on his, you know, on himself, whatever possessions he had to be taken by a bunch of marauders, you know. So you're gonna see different scenarios, man. You got to be aware of what's going on. You know, once that time comes, once this place comes to its fruition, and it's ready to, you know, birth those birthing pains. So it says, "For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes." They're not going to regard the government or the president or whatever, because it's going to be a dog-eat-dog world by that time. Complete anarchy. "And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Right. And you seeing these cities becoming more and more, you know, desolate, and, you know, destroyed, because these governors are passing bills and laws that's in complete and total opposition of something that's going to benefit their city. Okay, you got some cities where you can't really carry concealed weapons, and you can't have any type of, you know, weapon on you, such as a firearm. And then you got other cities that just let you, you know, get away with stealing so much now because of all the riots back then when we had them, back when that George Floyd thing took place, that now, cities are becoming nonchalant, But these store owners are getting fed up with losing their property, But for the most part, most of these cities, are already set for complete and total anarchy. So it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. And you're gonna see that, especially in these major cities. You're gonna see a lot of crime rate rise. So it says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay? So you're gonna see a lot of men out there, who consider themselves, macho man, but face to face with a firearm or a bunch of other men, and certain other things, they're gonna be afraid. So it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. So you very much well can have this same scenario play out where you don't know this person who lived next door to you for like 15, 20 years, and all of a sudden, things go left and this thing pop off, and it's hard to find the everyday necessities, food, water, and clothing. And he done seen you, or she done seen you over the past, few months, bringing in food and stuff like that. And now she done made an agreement with somebody else. Maybe her or him done made an agreement with somebody in their family to have you set up to, get that jugging. Okay? Where they may, follow you and work in cohese to get whatever you got inside your house. And you may not even see it coming. Okay, it's gonna be wild out here once this thing happens and it collapses, and they tell you that the dollar is no more the world reserve currency, and there's a new currency. You're gonna see people taking their money out the bank, trying to get whatever they can get at the last minute, for whatever preparation they need. And the neighbors are gonna be watching this. Your neighbors watch you, man. And you be surprised who they gonna, be willing to team up with to survive. And in these cities, they're gonna be trouble, man. If a lot of these cities don't allow these individuals to protect themselves and carry that fire on them, not to say that's gonna deliver you, but a lot of these cities, they are nonchalant and cavalier about having, regular citizens carry firearms on them, especially in these democratic cities. So it's gonna be wild out there, man. And a lot of people, they rely on having firearm for a first line of protection, because a lot of these cities know that once whatever happens is going to happen, that they're going to need some type of protection to protect them from marauders and people that's coming to maraud and take whatever goods they done stored up. So you seeing it with this bank jugging. What you seeing is the ability for people to cooperate and to put together a plan and strategy on how to, take somebody for what they have, get a lick. They call it get a lick or scheme. Now they call it bank jugging. So you're gonna see more and more of this as we get closer to that time, because people are gonna want to team up, man. They're gonna say we can get greater things in bigger numbers. So it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall not have pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. And we know the sword is the modern day form of for the average Joe is a gun, a firearm. But they shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You know, and that's pretty much, you know, what's going to lead up to Jacob's trouble, you know. It's something like this taking place where, you know, either you're going to have that hedge on you and be delivered out of it, or you're going to be, you know, delivered over to that judgment, that sword. So let's go into Jeremiah 30, and let's read it at verse 6. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail? So you can see what type of stuff we're going to be, you know, heading into if you see a man with his hands on his loins like a woman in travail. And all faces are turned into paleness, because it's going to be a lack of bread out here. You know, people are going to be starving. They're going to be driven to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do, because they're not going to have that hedge or protection over them. And they're not going to have faith. They're going to have to get it like they get it. And if that means jugging, if that means getting a lick, scheming, you know, that's the kind of spirit that's going to be put on this earth, you know. It's going to be get it like you get it how you can, you know. You're going to see how this society completely is once all, you know, all laws are out the window per se, when you can no longer get the EMS or the paramedics to come to you, when you can no longer call the police to help you out. You know, it's going to be wild out here. It's going to be like that movie Purge, basically. You know, everybody for themselves. That's why you're going to have, you know, people clicking up together. So it says, ask ye now, and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. It's going to be a not a sad day, but it's going to be a horrible day. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. What you imagining, what you thinking of, you can't think of, because there's going to be nothing like it that has ever been. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Who is the he? It's the elect of Israel. You know, you're going to have wild beasts out here doing their thing. You know, you're going to see wild beasts coming into neighborhoods that you would no longer see, and places that you would no longer, you know, think that they would ever be, because the cities are going to be unkept and things are going to go, you know, haywire. You're going to see animals coming from out the woods. And those animals going to bring judgment on people. You know, it's going to be chaotic out here. You're not going to imagine this day, because there's never been anything like this. That's why it says, at last, for this day is great, so that none is like it. It ain't going to be a pretty thing once this thing take place. Those zoos, you got a zoo in your neighborhood or close by, don't be surprised if you out and about trying to find food and you come across a lion or something like that. You know? So it's just going to be whatever you think, you ain't going to be able to think. You ain't going to be able to think enough to provide whatever type of resources you need, you know? That's why we need to stay in this truth and pray and fast and, you know, pray for deliverance. So we're going to go ahead and close out. We ain't going to make it long. We're going to take it from there. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. And it reads, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Okay? So we being sober, we seeing these little signs, these little, you know, indicators that, you know, there's trouble around the corner. So that it can encourage us to stay more and more into this truth, you know? Because a lot of people are going to be hit like a bag of bricks out of nowhere once this thing comes and they don't know what to do. See, once that famine of the word come and the truth is taken away and people are out here to defend on their own, they ain't gonna know what to do. They're gonna rely on their natural instincts, whether that's to fall back and team up with cliques, whether that's to get firearms and arm yourself or whatever, but they're not gonna be able to prepare themselves for whatever situation may be, allotted to them. So they ain't gonna be able to think with the mind of the Most High. So there's a judgment for everybody out there, leading up to that ultimate judgment here in Babylon, which is the second death, which is the way of, nuclear missile. ICBMs coming here to judge this place. That's why you need to repent while you still have time. Turn back to the Most High, Leave forsake your wicked ways. So, hopefully somebody was able to take something from this. Until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We almost home. Shalom.